Hey, it's Kit, and we're gonna be talking about color selection. There are a lot of people stick to their favorite colors and all that, and that there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so we'll touch up about that in a bit, but this is how I choose my colors, and you can see there's like a good selection of colors here. Mind you, there are only two green lures. Okay, now this has a lot to do with favorite colors and all that. Okay, now first let me talk about green. Green's not my favorite color. Okay, I can go fishing with green lures, blue lures, and all that, but green is probably the last color I'd pick up, and even chartreuse. Okay, which is like one. There's one right there. I know they're really good colors, but for the life of me, I don't know why. I just don't have the fondness for green. It's not to say that they don't catch, and they do for a lot of people, me included, actually. Green works a lot, but it's just that I don't really grab green first. I'd grab blue more than I would with green. Okay? Now, going back to favorite colors and all that, it's worth noting that a lot of people have favorite colors and they swear by it and they say that they catch a lot of fish with it. Okay? And I'll give them that. But the thing is, if it's your favorite color, it means that you're using it a lot. These lures, they all work. In fact, I've caught on every single one of these lures. Some are brand new, but these are spares and everything. But I catch fish on a regular basis with all of these lures, even the green ones. But if they stay in the tackle box, they're not going to catch anything. So I know that it has a lot to do with personal preference, and there's no right and wrong answer when it comes to that. However, if you have a favorite lure and a favorite color, you tend to be using that. So it follows that you'll be catching a lot more fish on that particular lure and that particular color because that's mostly what you cast. Okay? So, that aside, I base my selection, especially when I go out to, take for example, I'm going out to a new area and I'm not 100% sure of what's there, what conditions are there in a particular tide and all that. So what I will do is bring a selection of natural colored lures and some pretty loud colored lures, as I call them. Very first thing I do is see if there's enough visibility in the water. If the water is tinted, muddy, I use pretty loud colors. And most of the colors are UV reactive when it comes to loud colors, and I tend to choose lures that are like that for that particular reason. When it is stained or when it's muddy or a little bit muddy, and just as long as it's not super clear, I choose these. Okay, I'll go back to some colors here later on, but when the water is really clear and we're fishing shallow clear water especially. So when I say shallow, it means like 30 feet or 10 meters and under. I use natural colors. And this is because when it's pretty clear, I tend to fish slower as well. So I just believe that when you're fishing slow, that the fish would tend to look at the lure more than when you're fishing fast. And usually in those cases, the fish would have a bit more time to look at the lures. And if you are fishing natural colored lures, they tend to look more real. That's just me. Now, when I'm fishing areas where it's a bit muddy, stained, as I mentioned earlier, I use pretty loud colors because they tend to be a bit more visible. And when it is that kind of condition, fish don't really look, or as if I feel, because over the years and research, they feel the lure more than they do seeing it because of their lateral line. So they feel the lure is there, or it mimics injured fish. So they feel as if there's something in distress there, and then they'll go and locate it, and probably for a split second they would see it just before they strike. So loud colors tend to be a bit more visible when it comes to dirty water. There are some colors like this white one right here. This is a actually cotton candy with a cotton candy with a white back, and this is a pink sardine, and this pink cotton candy. Okay, so these colors, okay, these three colors right here have been my all-around colors. So you'd probably see these three tied more on my casting rod when I see a varying degree of say dirtiness in the water. Okay, so these three most especially, I don't run out of them, and they work well in deeper water as well. So these are Soran heavy minnows. They're pretty heavy for their size, so you could cast them out a really long way. And what I like about them is that I could cover deep water and shallow water with just one lure. Whereas, take for example, these Max Wraps are excellent for shallow water. You can cast them a mile, but they don't dive too deep, whereas these guys would dive deeper. So there's also colors like Redhead that it's probably the color that caught the most fish because of the Rapala Redhead trolling lure, like the CD18s, CD14s and all that, which is kind of weird. And this is one thing that I want to talk about, because it's not too loud and it's not too natural looking as well. Plus, red is the first color to disappear in the water. It disappears probably the first, I think, first 3 feet, a meter or so. Definitely at 5 meters, it's not red anymore. So, with that in mind, a redhead would probably be the color that caught the most fish compared to all of these. So it kind of doesn't, it's kind of contradictory to this whole thing. But redhead definitely is on top of, or one of my top go-to lures. Redheads, lure colors. Redheads, pinks, blues, and this golden orange color. I love this, especially during sunrise and sunset. I love this color. And it doesn't matter if it's a popper or diving bait, it just works for me. So at the end of the day, when it comes to color selection, like I said, it's largely personal preference. And the more you use a color, or the more confidence that you have in the color, the more likely that you'd be using it more, and the more likely you'd catch more fish on it. So use this as a guide. Clear water or clear shallow water, natural colors, and dirty water, you have your loud colors. But if you want to try, like me, if you want to try these colors, it could be all white, it could be all silver. Pinks, they work well. Everybody knows it here, at least in the UAE, and generally for the Middle East and North Africa region. Pink has been working well for a lot of people. So yeah, I hope this helps, and if you got more questions, just comment. That's it for now, so see you next video. Thanks for watching.